We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2133. Today, Jill and I are talking about avoiding analysis paralysis when land research becomes overkill. Yesterday, we talked about all the positive stuff about research. When it's appropriate, choose when it's not appropriate, which I'm not sure there ever is a case. But when does it become a scenario where it's stopping you from getting anything done?
That happens.
It happens to me to this day.
I see it a lot. Exactly. Yeah.
This week, all week, and we're wrapping it up this Friday here, is Land Research Week. Each day on the show, we answer a question about our Land Academy member, a land-related question on the Land Academy member Discord forum, and we take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request.
Okay. Lizette wrote, when you're scrubbing your data, do you remove properties where the bank is the owner?
I love this question. It's simple, and it brings up a topic that we have not talked about on the show for a very long time, which is scrubbing in a data set, in any given data set. If you just dream with me for a second, if you're staring at an Excel list of all the people who own 5-acre properties in a county or a zip code, you can see the ownership names in there. You're going to see companies, LLCs. You're going to see individual people who own properties like Joe DeWit. You're going to see churches might own it. You're going to see some type of hospital, maybe an Air Force base, all kinds of things in there. And one of them that you're going to see are banks. Banks end up owning property, not because they want to, but because people stop paying their mortgage. So there's a substantial number of banks, or the state of Minnesota, who've taken it back for back tax reasons and all kinds of that. We do not. Well, your job is to remove that stuff so you don't waste 50 cents sending us an offer that no one's going to respond. If you send an offer to buy a piece of property to Bank of America, it's going to get responded to? No, it's never going to make it out of the mailroom. And so I have a massive long list, an ongoing list of entities to not send mail to where I believe it's a waste of time, like utility companies and all kinds of people that are never going to see. The USA is a huge, they own a ton of property that have been assigned APNs that you're just wasting your money. This is one of them. Banks. Churches come up a lot, and we've done a lot of deals with churches. Escrow companies come up a lot. They end up with property because people like us might sell properties on terms. And the people that are paying us because they bought them from us stop paying. So the escrow company ends up an owner, can buy properties from them.
LLCs, corps, trying to think what else that we love. HOAs, love all that stuff. Trusts, love. Oh, those are good. Those are good.
In the beginning, use my list. Mm-hmm. And then as your career goes forward, really start to apply common sense. Because you're going to come up with, trust me, you're going to come up with things just like this. I'm sure banks are in there for us. Today's topic, avoiding analysis paralysis when land research becomes overkill.
Looking to me.
I can go first if you want. I can tell you.
I'll tell you what
Sure.
I have 2 points to make here. Okay, so here's the backstory is, you're trying to, I think of it as, there's two points that it really happens. A, sending out the mail, and B, pulling the trigger to buy it. And in both of these, it's the same answer. Whether I got to cut myself off or the mail's not going to go out, right? And I got to cut myself off, or no, I'm not making a decision. I'm going to lose this deal. Pick one. Either one can happen. So in each scenario, I think it's best when you have a checklist. So when you are, picking an area to mail, I mean, not only is there a checklist, it's in chapters 3 and 4, picking out the area and then getting the data, and then just like the question that was just asked about scrubbing the data and then pricing the data and getting it out. That's really bottleneck number one, I find a lot of people stuck on and not moving forward in their careers. They're like, I still want to run the numbers again. I want to spot check one more time. I want to sleep in these, make sure it's right. I don't know, whatever it is. I have 10,000 lines. I want to go through all of them. No, you don't. You have a checklist. You need to use that checklist and then have a cutoff time. So that's two parts. You have to have a deadline. If you don't hit it, then that's it. It goes out. You did your best. It goes out, period. And otherwise you won't get the mail out. And if you don't get the mail out, you're not going to buy anything. And then here comes analysis paralysis period number 2 that I see very, very often. You got that out. They came back. Now you have 20 deals that you're looking at. And you're like, oh my gosh. And you're here analyzing, which is the best one. What about the access over here? But what about that one? And is this priced right? On what's the timber worth on here? Do I need to do this over here? What's, you can hear me even throwing out random things. Your head will just be filled up with random things if you don't do 2 things. One is have a checklist and stick to it. For that, it's our 8 A's. You go through the 8 A's and you know you're making a good decision. Listen to another podcast if you want to hear that in depth. We go through them a lot, what those are. And then you know you're making a good decision. And then 2, again, a cutoff time. I do a lot of speaking on this and within Land Academy about due diligence periods. You should have a phase 1 due diligence cutoff and a phase 2 due diligence cutoff. Phase 1 is you go through the 8 A's. For me, it's 5 minutes of property. For you, if you're new, it might be 30 minutes of property. That's okay. Then if it passes your phase 1 due diligence, you give it your 30 minutes, you still like it. Now you move it to phase 2. And that's going to be, maybe a couple hours in a week, and then you have a decision by Friday, period. Because if you don't, again, you're not going to buy anything. You have 20 deals staring at you. And if you sit and spend, and you can go down that rabbit hole on one property going, I'm going to be the one that figures out this title issue or this access issue. I could just, you come up for air and you realize you spent 40 hours this week on that one property. You know what? And it may not be a good property. You've got to cut it off or you're not going to move forward and you're going to lose a deal, by the way. That's the sad reality. What could happen? You spent 40 hours trying to do it. And in that time, the guy's brother-in-law said, well, shoot, Mike, for $5,000, I'll buy it. And now the deal's gone.
Jill, you smashed it.
Thank you.
Deadlines. Our lives are packed full of deadlines every single week. They're in a calendar that we share. And I mean socially, professionally, and everything else. Without them, nothing ever gets done. Why? Why don't people meet deadlines? Here's my theory. Because they are afraid of what happens afterward. I know I can do better on this mailer. I just need another hour. I just need another week. And that you don't want to answer the phone. That's why you're not getting the mail done. Or you don't want to spend the money on the mail. There's something else going on. Why didn't you take that last class in college to graduate? Because you don't want to go out in the workforce. There's all kinds of stuff. Why didn't you get married? I'm afraid. And you should be afraid of that.
Like, oh, wait for it. It's coming.
I saw an interview. It stuck with me, obviously, forever, a million years ago.
That's a really good question. Go ahead.
About with the guy how an animated movie like Shrek gets done, or whatever these new animated movies are now. Back in our kids' day, it was Shrek. And so it turns out they had put teams of people together, little team. It takes like 2 years to do one of these movies. And each 3 to 5 second clip, 2 or 3 people get assigned to that, and that's all they work on for two years. And so they interviewed these people on these teams. What's the challenges? How do you do it? And they all said this. The only reason that is done, that my 5 seconds in this movie is done, because they cut me off. It's never done because you're an artist. If you look at things like a piece of art, all artists, painters and stuff say, I had to cut myself off. No, all those paintings up there, see them? They're not done in my mind. And so that's the case with me too. When I'm done with the mailer, I'm not done. The dinger went off quite literally in my office. The egg timer in my office went off, and it forced me to send it to offers to owners. Same thing with the musicians. I have the same interview with Sting, the lead singer of the Police. And he said, all the songs I've ever done are not finished yet. I was forced myself to be done with it.
I was going to say, every sporting event ever, every game, the losing team always says they weren't done.
We needed another quarter and we would have beat those guys.
We would have been fine. Exactly. One more period and we would have won.
Look, all kidding aside, Jill smashed it, but all kidding aside, analysis paralysis is a symptom. The cause of analysis paralysis is what you really should be asking yourself. Why is this mailer not done? Why is it taking me 14 hours to analyze, to go through the due diligence on this piece of land? Because you don't want to buy it and you're afraid you can't sell it and you don't want to part with the money. There's something going on. Once you realize that that's what's really going on with it, you're either going to overcome it or you're not.
Right.
You know what? I really don't want, I worked a ton of time to save this $30,000. I don't want to spend it on the mail, or I don't want to spend $30,000 on this piece of land. I'm not sure I can resell it for $60,000. These are all valid things. What's not valid is driving yourself and your loved one freaking crazy because you have analysis paralysis and then you just never get it out. It's never done. And then now you got 52 things that are unfinished.
Very true. Love it.
Join us next week for another 5 more episodes, actually. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.